How do everybody, this is Let's Be Real Brad, and today I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite films of all time, The Empire Strikes Back. The Empire Strikes Back is a sequel to the original Star Wars film that came out in 1977. This film came out 3 years later in 1980. Now we have Irvin Kershner that's directing the film in this one instead of Lucas. George Lucas still helped out with the film, being an executive producer and working on the story. That feel and love of Star Wars has definitely felt the same in this film, but even darker and even better than the first one. Let's just get this out of the way. The Empire Strikes Back is one of the greatest sequels of all time. I truly believe it is one of the greatest sequels of all time, considering of how much better I truly think it is, better than the original Star Wars. I love the original Star Wars film, as I did, if you see a review for this, that in the last video I made, I said it was a masterpiece. I think it's excellent, but I think you can have a film that has the same rating, but I think it's just done so much better. What I love so much about this film, it takes everything that we loved about the original Star Wars and takes a darker, more fleshed out tone. We dive more into the characters, and they all have much better character developments in this film, as we are introduced to them in the first film, and then now in this second film we understand who they are, and now they have their own character arcs that are building now into the third film. This has some of the best scenes of the whole franchise, including the prequels and the newer films. I might even go and say this is one of the greatest films of all time. Yeah, I said it. I'm trying not to fanboy this film, but after watching this film again and diving deep in the film and analyzing everything that's going on with the film, I realized, man, I gotta give it to the credit to these people. Like, this is why people love Star Wars, and Empire Strikes Back shows us why we all love this film. In this film, we're primarily focused on Luke of becoming a Jedi, trying to face Darth Vader after everything that happened in the last film. We kind of get split up in this film. We have Luke doing his own thing, trying to go in this Jedi training, going to Dagobah to find this Master Yoda, and then we have the rest of the gang that are trying to find a way to fight the rebel base and try to intervene. And Luke is such an interesting character because I think he's just so relatable to us, as he does have many flaws in the film, and I know there's a lot of fans out there that will say, oh, Luke's just a whiny, dumb idiot throughout the film and he just makes bad choices, and yes, that is true. But the film does a really good job of making us understand why he's feeling the way he is. Showing us that what would we do in that situation if that came down to it, trying to save our friends or trying to avenge the people that we love. A lot of pressure is on Luke in the film, as it is really shown that he might be the only Jedi ever left. And he's got to be the one that's got to save the day in the end. Of course, he's going to need help, but he's got to bring the Force together, and I think that pretty old to be training as a Jedi, as Master Yoda says. We meet one of my favorite characters of the whole franchise, Master Yoda. I absolutely love Yoda in this film because the prequels definitely show a more serious, younger Yoda, even though like they're both old. Maybe it's just less crazy. But in this film, he becomes this wisecracking, old creature, but then you realize how wise and strong he is, and he's pretty harsh on Luke throughout the film that we don't really get to see Yoda do in a lot of the other films. But I think this was one that fulfilled that darker tone that it sets throughout the whole film. He has some of the best and most memorable lines of the entire series that I use them on the daily basis. Luke and Yoda's scenes are always fantastic, and they are just some of the best of the franchise. A sense of dread surrounds this film as you feel like something's just not going right throughout. And all the way from the beginning of the film, we're on the Hoth planet, and then they're going through the film, there always seems like something's just not going right. Everything seems to be failing, as there's a glimpse of hope on the horizon. There's always a sense of dread that's coming, as the Empire feels stronger than ever. Even though their whole Death Star was destroyed, it seems like in this film that they are much stronger than they could ever be. Personally, I think the acting is even better in this film, as the acting is pretty good in the first film, but it seems like the actors really got into the role of these characters and now embraced of how this campy style with the film is and how much fun these characters are. This could also do with being a better script, as I think the script's a lot tighter and a lot more interesting scenes in the film. The movie is extremely funny. The first one had that, but I think this film has a lot of more really hilarious jokes and really awesome one-liners that you would think that wouldn't fit a film like this because it's so dreadful and it's so intense, but it really does in this film. Writing is just more complex as they developed a more well-developed story that has a lot more subplots and a lot more meat to the film. Even the technical aspects are better in this film, as this was one of the most expensive films at the time pre-1980, as the budget was supposed to be around 17 million, but then they ended up getting boosted to 33 million, which would translate to $102 million today. But it's a great thing because this film shows and it looks absolutely incredible today. I actually enjoy the great production design, especially on the Hoth planet, where it's a bunch of snow and a bunch of ice. Love when we go to Cloud City. It really feels like that we're a part of that planet, where it's a little more industrial, and I just really enjoy that futuristic aspect to it. Especially Dagobah. Man, it really feels like you're just on a swamp, covered in just disgustingness. You just kind of want to leave with all the little creatures running around. The production design is absolutely excellent in this film, and I actually enjoy it a little bit more than the first one just because I think there's a little more variety going on. Of course, the makeup and costume design is excellent as well, as is prevalent throughout all the Star Wars films. The sound design is incredible, as they took a lot of the amazing technical achievements from the first film into this film. Special effects are great as well. You get a couple more green screens that haven't aged as well, but it's still a really big technical achievement for its time. Basically what I'm trying to say is everything they did in the first film, the technical aspect design, is just improved and it's just been upgraded, even though the first film just technical achievements, and this one's not going to get all the praise for that, but that's okay because the story is better, the characters are better, and it just seems a little bit more fun and a little more focused in this film. John Williams is excellent again, as we're introduced to one of the best of all time, the Imperial March. We don't ever hear that in the first film because the first film is more focused on our main characters, but in this film we get a lot of scenes of Darth Vader, as we did in the first one. The Imperial March is chilling, dark, and super suspenseful. I absolutely adore it. I think it might be better than the original Star Wars theme. Every time you hear this, you know something bad's gonna happen, and you know there's gonna be this powerful presence that's gonna be here. The fight scenes are a lot better in this film. I think the choreography is extremely well done. The Luke and Darth Vader battle scene towards the end of the film is absolutely incredible. Sure, it's not insanely choreographed like the prequels, but sometimes in the prequels, they feel like they're just dancing around and it doesn't feel authentic. I really enjoy this fight because it's the showdown we've been waiting for, and it's so powerful, and it's so intense that you really don't know what's going to happen. And by the ending of this film, we have one of the biggest surprise twist endings of all time that has become so popularized, so mainstream in our culture that everyone basically knows this. Everyone knows the twist. Even if you haven't seen Star Wars, you know this twist. And if you haven't known about the biggest twist in cinema history, I suggest that you go watch Star Wars now so you don't get that ruined for you, because I think it is excellent, but it's been so desaturized just due to how cinema and people have made this so abundant, and everyone basically knows it at this point. The special edition of this film honestly really isn't that bad. They actually add a couple things that I do like with the film, as they show more of aspects of things that we didn't necessarily see in the original, so I honestly don't mind the special edition. Sure, I'm always going to pick the original film, of course. They do upgrade the sound design and the cinematography and everything that's going on with the film, but I gotta say, this is the film that was least touched, and it goes to show, because this film is just so perfect and it's just done better than the other two, that they really didn't need to touch up so much because it's so focused on its story. I said this in the last video, but if you haven't gotten the despecialized edition of these films, these are the true editions of Star Wars, taking all the special edition stuff out, making an HD version. It is very, very rare to get, so if you can get your hands on watching it, personally just watch this version, because the special editions, while if you haven't seen the film for the first time, they're going to feel a little weird, and it's going to feel out of place when there's so much CGI from like 2011 combined with 1977 special effects. Just going to be kind of confusing, like, wait, that's just so overall distracting, and may take you out of the film. I'm not really going to get into specifics of the film, what parts I liked, character moments I really enjoyed, because I feel as though I want to tell you how I feel about the film, and many of you guys have seen this film, know how amazing it is. I want you to experience that yourself, because I think it would ruin how much Star Wars is if I just fanboy, just talk about all these amazing moments in the film without giving a honest, objective review that shows that this film is still one of the best films of all time and my top 10 favorite movies of all time, because it's more than just being Star Wars and having nostalgia as a kid. It actually is in a fantastic film. Everything about this film is basically perfect, with incredible pacing, with sharp, witty, and memorable lines, and a really great story. Has really awesome characters that are more fleshed out in the film, with introducing new ones that have been cemented into the Star Wars legacy. Has incredible fight scenes, and everything with the technical aspects is basically upgraded. Sounds better, looks better, and feels better throughout. The darker tone makes this film as great as what it is, and it has an ending that I would never expect when I saw it the first time. It was just truly incredible, and it sets up perfectly for the next film, Return of the Jedi, without feeling like it's just setting up everything. It feels like it's perfectly placed within this film. I'm giving this film a 10 out of 10. I think it is a masterpiece, so if you have watched this film, let me know what you think about it down below. Please rank your Star Wars films down below. I would love to see your rankings. If you haven't already, please like, share the video, please subscribe. It really helps out the channel, so you guys who have been doing that have been absolutely fantastic, and I just want to thank you guys from the bottom of my heart, because I want to keep growing my channel, but it's only going to be up to you guys to help me grow this channel and support me and critique me when I need to critique, because I want to be the best for you guys as I possibly can. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next video.